Well, first of all, listen, it's interesting about all these young guys today. They never call on us and say, hey, thanks for the kind word and telling me how great a player I am. But when they play like crap and we call them out, we don't know what we're talking about. Listen, I'm easy to find.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Happy Friday. Hope you all had a great day. Hope you all had a great week. Hope you're all ready for the weekend, staying safe. This is your host, Nathan Snell of Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. This is Season 10, Episode 3. In this episode, we are recapping the Washington Mystics versus the Seattle Storm, Game 1. But before we get into the video, there's a few things I'd like to say up front. Again, thank you for the new subscribers that have recently subscribed to the channel. It's much appreciated. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the support you're giving me on this YouTube channel. Also, to be sure to check me out on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, Big Nate Sports Talk. I'd be also really appreciative if you guys leave reviews. It helps me, it helps the podcast, helps this channel, where I really do appreciate that. A couple things. The Washington Mystics today had a post-practice call, and I did not make it. But I will have that for you guys for Game 2. After Sunday. I'm hoping to have Brendan Potts back on. We've talked what's the best time to get back to each other to recap the game Sunday. And we're probably going to do that Sunday evening, Sunday night, honestly. Also, too, the Ravens play this weekend, so be tuned in for the observations for Game 2. Lamar Jackson, he's not, and a few mostly the vets are not playing in this preseason. So honestly, just be tuned in for that, and also to the Washington football team. Where do I begin? It's been an interesting start to the first week of the playoffs. I'm first and foremost for the Phoenix Mercury. I want to send my thoughts and prayers to Shea Petty. She ruptured her right Achilles tendon. Again, man, they've dealt with a lot this season, and she's definitely been that energy boost, that go-to person for the team, especially defensively. And Vanessa Nygaard announced it today in a media availability call. So thoughts and prayers to her. Still no word on Sky Diggins-Smith. I really do hope she's doing okay. De'Arca Hamby was not in a walking boot when I watched the game, so she should be back probably the next round, more than likely. Chicago, Kalia Copper in practice had a non-contact knee injury, and I thought it was very weird. Shout out to James Kay, who's a reporter who covers the Chicago Sky. I thought it was very weird, James Wade's comments. I ain't gonna lie, I respect James Wade, but he gives me some weird vibes sometimes. I don't know. And then he made a comment that was very inappropriate. Not inappropriate, but I thought it was kind of out of bounds about one of his players that has he first and foremost, he never gave an opportunity to be on the floor, and she has to commit overseas. And I thought the comment was flat out of bounds. Dallas and Connecticut, I wasn't expecting much from Dallas in Game 1. For some unknown reason, something tells me they're going to bounce back at Game 2. I hope Odyssey Sims is okay. She kind of threw up on the court towards the end of the game, so I hope she's okay. Kurt Miller said she's just sick, has just had an upset stomach, but I really do hope she's feeling a lot better. But painfully, let's get into the real meat and potatoes. The Washington Mystics versus Seattle Storm. The Seattle Storm defeated the Washington Mystics 86-83.
What was that? What the hell was that? I'm sorry the H words and the D words aren't appropriate over the airwaves, but it's going to be today. I don't know how much more of this I can take. How in God's name?
I'm going to stay cool, calm, and collective. The Washington Mystics. I said it. If you watch that video with when I did with when I had Brendan on, I said a couple things are going to be key. You've got to keep your turnovers low. You've got to make shots. Also, too, you got to play defense. It literally came down to a game of possessions. I said for that's going to be key. It's going to come down to a game of possessions, and it did. The fact when you look at this series, honestly and truthfully, we're both evenly matched teams. The only thing is, I would say honestly, Washington's bench is slightly better. We're the number one ranked defense. We both pretty much have the same identical statistics. When I look at the game, like on paper, this definitely has the making of probably being one of the best. The moments that Elena was not out there, the game was just lost. I'm just going to keep it real. It's interesting that Coach T, and I'll play in the beginning, I had the same thoughts because I couldn't point to one colossal mistake. There was we could have been better on the defensive side of the ball. We let some key rebounds, kind of get away from us. We turned the ball over, like we're throwing the ball into the opponent's hands. We're not really getting good looks at the hoop. I think we're kind of rushing our shots. We're not pushing the pace. And shout out to Kareem Copeland. He mentioned Shakira Austin, and she felt she was down, and it bothered her that she didn't have a great game. But I thought she did well in her first playoff game. Yeah, there are moments where she looked a little fatigued, but I think for the most part she handled herself well. But I mean, honestly, I think that going back to shot selection, I didn't think was the smartest thing. I just feel like when you're taking those type of shots, especially on defenders, they were highly contested shots. I mean, we're talking shots on Jewel Lloyd, Brianna Stewart, Tina Charles, Sue Bird, Gabby Williams. That's not smart, and we're not trying to drive or kick, pick and roll, pick and pop. We're not doing any of those things. I felt like we were pushing. I think we got outpaced. That's something I wrote down here in my notes. Seattle definitely throughout the game, they definitely dictated the pace. I thought going back to the passing, I thought some of the passings was not great. We had a lot of easy open looks. There was one particular play where we got a steal and missed layups. Like those things aren't going to happen. And then when you look at the bench, look at this box score, the bench also too. I said this was key. The bench had a poor game. You're not going to win. You're not going to win many basketball games where your bench is literally only has a combined 11 points. That just can't happen. I mean, the others got to step it up. It's just plain and simple. But I think again, looking at it that I think I'll say this on the plus side. I think the Mystics they stayed poised, cool, calm, collective, especially on the runs that Seattle did. I just think that you've just got to be a bit more smarter because your flaws are always going to show come playoff time. And I felt like that was definitely some of the flaws. I thought, our communication on defense, there was one possession where we got we didn't get the rebound and we're letting Brianna Stewart run to the 3 line and no one hustles on that. That can't happen. You know, I thought that, you know, we didn't do a good job on double teams. There was I don't know really what we were doing. But you know, when you look at this box score, I mean, just being honest, you're not when you got a 5 for 15, 0 for 4 from 3, 1 of 8, 1 of 3. We got 2 points just off one shot, off 2 shots. That can't happen. But to really break the game down, let me just get you guys warmed up. So here was the post-practice media call before we went on the road to Seattle, and they were really going to really get into the game. But I just wanted to just break down my thoughts of the game, and they were really going to get into it.
And then last question, Nathan.
Hey, Coach, can you hear me now?
Sort of.
Okay, really quick. I had some audio issue where he couldn't hear me. Thank you to the PR for allowing me to give me the opportunity to fix that and also come back and be able to answer his question. I really did appreciate that. I just wanted to get your thoughts on, you know, you being the winningest coach. Who was that coach for you when you were coming along in the NBA and the WNBA to give you your poise and just the coach that you are today? Who was that coach for you and you're coming up?
I don't know that there's one. I think there's, you know, different stages of your career. There are different ones. I mean, I started out as a high school assistant coach, and I had head coaches back then, and you know, a guy named Tom Cassane, who was the varsity coach at a high school that I coached at Archbishop Mitty in San Jose, California. He taught me about the value of scouting and learning, you know, how to know opponents inside out and scouting your own team to know your own strengths and weaknesses. My role model probably as a coach for a lot when I was younger, I grew up on the West Coast with John Wooden being, you know, the coach. And I got a chance to know Coach Wooden. I worked his camp several weeks every summer. And I think I learned kind of 2 things from him. One was, no matter what else you want to do, it always comes back to fundamentals. That if your team can't do fundamental things right, you're going to struggle. And I think that's always stuck with me, that he was always a back to basics coach, footwork and balance and all of those things. And, you know, that stayed with me. And then his patience. I think that, he had a calmer demeanor than I do probably. But it was something, you know, to watch. You know, obviously he had great teams with great talent, but you know, he was able to take different players and different styles and make them, you know, mold them together and adjust to the talent that he had, you know, and so, you know, he was blessed at a time where, you know, for a stretch he had Bill Walton and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and they played one way. And then he didn't have those low post centers, and he played with high post centers who passed and screened and did those things. And so I think, you know, you learn adaptability. I've been around, I've worked for good pro coaches, Coach Westhead, Coach Lockery, Coach Albeck, Coach Carl, all of those guys. They're all different styles. And so you try to pick and choose what you like from each of them. And then you study other coaches just in general. I mean, every off season that I've been able to, I've tried to go and spend a couple days with a different NBA team and watch, you know, what they do in practice. You know, I've spent time at Golden State. I've spent time at San Antonio and a couple other places. And so, you know, you learn different ways of doing things, and you try to steal from each coach something that they do really well. And I'm still doing that. I talk to NBA coaches and assistants and, you know, pick their brains, you know, the trends that are coming in the game and see what you can do to steal from those. If you don't keep learning as a coach, you're not going to get any better.
And my last one for me is Kia Vaughn. She announced her retirement. She came with you in 2013 when you changed the culture for the Washington Mystics.
Right.
Just talk about what, as a player, did she mean to you as a coach? And if those that didn't know Kia Vaughn, what was a couple things you could say about her?
Well, Kia Vaughn, first of all, brought a couple things. One, a toughness that this organization badly needed. that she was willing to take on any other opposing post player, whether they were big, short, fast, it didn't matter. She was willing to take them on. She had a discipline about her every day of going about her business. And I thought our team here needed somebody who, was a great example every day of how to be a good pro. And I thought of Kia all the time as a good pro. Even watching her earlier this year in Atlanta, come and do her pregame preparation. It was no different than what she did, 10 years ago when she came here. And that's a model of consistency. And I think, when you look at pro players who last a long time, it's their consistency of effort and demeanor and focus that has a lot to do with it. And, she was a great screener, a great mid-range shooter, knew how to use the glass inside, but, followed a defensive scouting report and was just a great teammate. I think that, always stood out to me. And I've always appreciated people like her who maybe don't get all the headlines all the time, but are huge fundamental pieces of a good team.
Appreciate you. Safe travels to Seattle,
Yep,
Coach.
thank you.
I lied. We have one more last question to Lisa.
Okay, next I'm going to play Maisha Hines-Allen. Really quick. So with Maisha, she was actually on her way to the airport, and yes, I thought that was weird, but yeah, she was literally driving and was on Zoom. So here is Maisha Hines-Allen.
Last question to Nathan.
Good afternoon, Maisha. Hope you're feeling better. Been praying for you. Glad to see you're back with the team.
Thank you.
I just wanted to get your thoughts on, you've been in this atmosphere before. Just talk about from, even when you were at Louisville, who was that coach or that veteran, that leader in the locker room, even with the Mystics, that get you mentally prepared for this kind of for the playoffs?
Who's the leader in the locker room that gets us ready for the playoffs?
Like how, when you're who was that when you started with the Mystics, even now when come playoffs, even in Louisville,
Yeah.
who was that person for you, and how can you instill that into Evina or Rui, Elizabeth, for example?
Yeah. So at Louisville, it was my senior year. That was the only year we went to the Final Four. So I was the only senior. So I guess I was the person, but none of us knew what it meant to fight for a championship and to get to a Final Four, what it took to get to a Final Four, except for my college coaches, like Coach Wall. So he knew, and Coach Norman. So they knew what it took. So it was more so just I guess myself and the other juniors to take upon ourselves to teach the freshmen, I guess, sophomores, I guess, how to do it. But in the W, I had some great vets from the beginning, with Monique Curry, TRP, Pratt. So that's always, Toya too. So that's always great when I can come into a program and have great veterans who not only want to succeed for themselves and be the best player and, professional athlete for themselves, but also want to help the younger generation get better too. So, so I had some great vets, along my way. Right now, our leaders, Tosh, Elena, AC. Sorry, they're not letting me over. Okay, thank you, sir. Sorry, I'm driving too. So, we got some great leaders on this team in our locker room that knows what it takes to win a championship. Who's been there before. So I guess it's just about, everyone's bought in. So it's not about who wants to listen or not or take it. I think everyone wants to win a championship. Another championship, I should say. So it's good when you have that.
Drive safe and have a safe flight to Seattle, Maisha. I appreciate it.
Oh, now you want to give a drive safe.
Thanks,
you.
Mai.
Oh, I swear, Maisha is a trip. She really is. That was funny. Next, it was Avina. So, other than that, let's get into the next pre-question. That is with Coach T and Elena Deladon. I had my hand raised for Shatroy Walker Kimbrough, but that's okay because they were also running out of time, which I respect. So,
all right, we'll go over to Nathan.
hey, Coach, good to see you. With the playoffs, do you feel with the bench that's also can be an X factor in this series?
Yeah, I mean, I think it can be. I mean, they have a great bench as well. I mean, they kind of play their players kind of like we do. They have 4 players that come off the bench, comparable minutes to the 4 players we have come off the bench. You know, and on the nights that we can get some scoring numbers, you know, we've had some games recently where we've had between 20 and 30 points off our bench. That's just a huge boost when you go into a game like this. And conversely, you don't want to let their players come in. You don't want Epiphany Prince and Ezzy McGregor or January or Talbot to get themselves rolling and, you know, get them an extra run that they don't, you know, that we don't want them to have. I think the bench is going to be key in for both teams.
When you look at the last few years, you've always preached defense, especially come playoff time. Do you feel like defense always wins championships?
I can't say it always wins because I think that in 2019 we had the best offensive team and a decent defensive team that got better at the end. But I thought our defense in the finals and against Vegas was important. I hate cliches that say one is better than the other. I'd like to have a team that was really good at both because I think you need to have both. The best teams that win championships in our league usually play well at both ends of the floor when it gets to playoff time.
Last one for me is, how do you like this format for the first round for the playoffs?
On the format.
Appreciate it, Coach. Thank you.
Right.
I think most of the other coaches kind of feel the same way, and I totally respect it. Up next is Elena Deladon. I'm still shell shocked that I've got now 2 times I've been able to ask Elena Deladon a question. I'm still shell shocked on the first one.
We'll hand it off to Nathan.
Good evening, Elena. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you. Question. At one time, you were in the shoes of Shakira, Vina. You were once a rookie yourself in this league. You know, from your time in Chicago to even Washington, who was that veteran or that coach, and even when you were at Delaware, that got you mentally prepared for moment like the playoffs? Who was that person for you?
You know, I guess I would probably say Swing Cash. When I was in Chicago, she was kind of someone who all season long was preparing me for playoffs and, you know, would have my back and make me feel confident. And it was kind of like, if Swin believes in me and if Swin's passing me the ball, then I should be fine and trust in myself. So I hope Shakira feels that. She feels how much we trust her, how massive she's been for us all season long. And all she has to do is come out and be herself.
And then just to follow up, like, how do you, what are some of the like tail bits you've given her as a vet yourself? And
1 second, it's a low battery, so I don't want it to die.
Yeah, so what happened was that you see Shatori Walker video bombing. What their laptop was dying, which I think was the reason why it ended. But honestly, I kind of should have just kept it at the first question, but I kind of wanted to get more of, how, what are some of the things like she's passing on to Shakira and Avina and even Rory. So
I don't know where I went. Oh. Okay. Sorry, what was your question?
I was asking who would like what are some of the tidbits you give Shakira, Avina, even Rory, their first time being in the playoffs.
I try to just remind them on like scouts and player personnel and things like that might, when your nerves are kicking in, you can forget about certain things like that. So just kind of reminding them about certain processes that they can be doing. And, when nerves come in and all that, like if somebody prefers going right, that's very helpful in the moment. So trying to help with that type of stuff where they don't have to overthink, but just putting a clear reminder like, hey, let's focus on this.
Appreciate you. Congratulations on the invite to Team USA.
All right. Thank you.
All right, that's all the time we have for Elena. Thanks, E.
Thank you.
Yeah. I would play some pregame tape for y'all on the game, and then we'll break it down. I had some internet trouble, so I could not enter pregame. So
I've noticed this earlier. The familiarity between two teams, you guys have seen each other. It's a bunch of veterans that know each other. Does that make things easier, tougher? Does it not matter at all?
I don't know if it matters. I mean, I think it's probably easier in preparation in the sense that everybody knows each other. We played each other recently. Some of these players have played together before, whether it's, like Alicia here or USAB or, all those kinds of things. I mean, we play similar styles. Noelle and I know each other. I mean, it's just one of those things where evenly matched teams, who's going to play a little bit better.
Alicia, how much does her institutional knowledge of this team play? Noelle said she loads up plays before they even get started, and that they have to adjust for that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it helps us. It helped us, right away with, just kind of internal scouting reports on tendencies and how people, react in situations. They run some of the same offense when she was here, and so I think that's an advantage for us. The other thing they have is they know her. I mean, but she knows, 7 of them and they know 1 of her. So we'll take those odds.
At this point, is there a message or is everything been said that needs to be said?
Boy, I don't hope I have to give them more messages. I mean, the game is what it is. They know the importance. I think the biggest thing, at the end of the day is, you actually, the cliches kind of take over in the sense that there are going to be runs in a game, and how you handle those, goes a long way towards deciding a game. You don't let a team's 4-0 or 6-0 run turn into 12-0 or 10-0. And, that happened to us the game here when we played. It got away from us in one of those runs and we couldn't stop it. And it kind of got away from them a little bit in the game that we wanted our place. Not as long a run, but you have those and you just have to play through some of those situations. I think uses of timeouts by coaches becomes magnified a little bit more in the playoffs. Substitutions become a little more magnified. But, it's kind of, similar. Both teams play pretty much 9 players. The bench players kind of play the same amount of minutes. And so it's going to be one of those a little bit of chess matches and how you match up things.
Coach, a lot of it has been said about the veterans. What's Shakira's mindset going into her first playoffs, and how would you just talk about her matchup versus some veterans like Tina Charles?
I have a hard time getting in the mindset of a young player, because, and I go back to early in the year, she got thrown out there as a starter, I don't know, first couple weeks of the season against Sylvia Fowles, and everybody was like, okay, what's she going to be like? And she was like, this is why I'm here. I want to play against these guys. And so, if you're a great player with a hunger to be good, you want to play in these situations. This is kind of what you live for all season. I don't know. I don't know that anybody will know how somebody like that handles it until they go through it. I'm not a good predictor in that kind of stuff, and I don't even want to try particularly. This is our best defensive team, because it's been that way pretty much for most of the season. It stayed consistent. I thought our team in 2019 was good at the end of the year by the time we got to the playoffs, but it took, kind of a heart-to-heart meeting about a third left in the season to kind of get ourselves to commit. This team is committed to it from the start. And, we have people who have been on the all defensive team at almost every position. And so that gives us a leg up on the past teams we've had, because we've been able to adapt and make some adjustments and, I think what this team has also been able to do is critique each other a little bit better too. And know it's coming from the right place, because there's pressure throughout the team to kind of live up to the standards that we set at the start of the year. Nobody wants to be the weak link. And Elena kind of kidded about that when we were signing people in the off season. I'm looking around, she goes, I better not be the weak link. And you can see it in how she practices and how she's done things, and her shot blocking, and nobody wants to be that one that's letting the other teammates down.
Do you prefer this format?
I don't want. That's a hands-off question. I'm not talking about format. Nope. I'm not talking about the format. I've been through this in the early stages of the league when I was in it. I've been through it in the old Continental Basketball Association. You can make a case for every kind of format there is. I've been 1-2, I've been 2-1, I've been 1-1-1. I have my own preferences. The league knows what it is, but I just, I don't talk about it with our team because it is what it is. And so that's how I'm facing it.
And if I can maybe rephrase it maybe this way.
Maybe I won't rephrase my answer.
Elimination.
That part, I think it was unanimous throughout the league, or close to unanimous, that everybody wanted to get back to series. I think that's what differentiates pro basketball from college or other, formats overseas. I think that wanted to have a situation where, you didn't have a fluke game necessarily, that you had to prove yourself, at least over a couple games. The longer the series, to me, the better. But I'm, I come from an NBA background where, the series generally brings out the best team for the most part. We survived in the single elimination. We were one of the teams that benefited from it, but I think the pro game is a great with a series. So.
And when you look at the game, comeback just fell short. I mean, for the most part, I'll give them credit. Give Seattle the credit. I mean, I think they've embraced the challenge. I think they know what it takes. Sunday we're facing the brink of elimination. But I'm going to remain optimistic. I'm going to stay cool, calm, and collective, because honestly, it came down to a game of possessions. That's the best way I can explain it to you. I mean, the only thing that was just disappointing is to see that Jewel Lloyd closed the game on a 12-0 run. I mean, we for 3 quarters, we did a great job on her defensively. Then the fourth quarter, I mean, she went from 4 points to 16 points. I mean, give her credit. Aisha Hines Allen and Natasha Cloud had 16 points apiece. Natasha Cloud was really putting everybody on notice with her being a shooter. She was 6 of 10. She was 2 of 2 from 3. She was doing her thing. And I give Natasha I give her flowers because there was one point in the game where she turned the ball over. It was supposed to be the play was for Ariel, and what ended up happening was she just turned the ball over, and that was a turning point. I think honestly that wasn't that was the key. I mean, Washington for the most part stayed into it. I mean, both teams just were trading buckets back and forth. It was about a little under 3.5 minutes to go. I remember Elena made the running jumper. We're up 4, and I'm sitting there going like, okay, we're up 4. We've got this. And then all of a sudden, and then it just went backwards. I mean, there were a lot of missed opportunities in that game, and that turnovers weren't the issue. I mean, we turned the ball over 12 times. They turned the ball over 13 times. We made them hunt for their shots, but I thought, we really could have done a lot better in terms of communication on the defensive boards. If we have a better shooting performance, I mean, you shot 48.5% from the field, but you shot 37% from 3. And a couple of those threes were off rebounds. They were off open looks. And that's not how I would expect a number 1 ranked defense to look. I mean, down the stretch, it was just Seattle. And it was a chess match. Give them a credit. That's what a championship team looks like. But this notion that Breanna Stewart has no help, I really want to know where that comes from, because the fact that if that's because supposedly she has no help, but Ezzy McMagor, Tina Charles, Gabby Williams, Jewel Lloyd, Sue Bird, she's surrounded by talent. That's help. See, we need to define what help is, because I'm looking at this box score, and Gabby Williams had 12 points. Jewel Lloyd, who closed the game out, 12-0 run, had 16 points. Sue Bird had 10 points. And your bench was also productive too. So this notion that she has no help, bullshit. I don't buy that. See, I think this is just another excuse for those that are, and I have no bias towards UConn, but we need to feel sorry for Brianna because she has no help. That's ridiculous. She has help. You've got Olympians, you've got first round picks on this squad. And don't tell me that's not help, because she had help. It's not just about who can score on the offensive side of the ball. It's about also too on the defensive side. Everything matters. With this, at most valuable player is what you do more for your team. And I just think this is just another reason to just point out this is why Asia Wilson shouldn't get MVP, because Asia has more to do than with Brianna. Total ridiculous. I don't buy that at all. I would really love to know what defines help, and please let me know, because you're starting 4 in double figures. Yeah, okay. But yeah, I mean, without the loss, I mean, they're in an excellent position to win game 2, and Natasha Cloud guaranteed that they're going to win this series. It's just the little things, it goes back to what I said. I mean, it's just missed opportunities. It came down to literally a game of possessions. But some of these things, man, you're flawed.
mean, this is some bad stuff. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to say. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how much more of this I can take. I just don't know. This is ridiculous. Ooh, oh Lord.
Honestly and truthfully, you know, it comes down to a game of possessions, but the Washington Mystics cannot have another moment like that.
I mean, this is some bad stuff. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to say. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how much more of this I can take. I just don't know. This is ridiculous. Ooh, oh Lord.
Okay, sorry, let's try this again.
We were trying to get a shot. Just didn't get it.
Getting a little better looks, or is that just a great player trying to get them?
No, she got going. She got to the free throw line a couple times. We had a player that she scored on, I think, that somebody fell down on. And you know, those things are good, but I mean, then you know, that's a good player.
Yeah, just kind of to go off of that, I guess let's talk about your guys' defensive job for on Jewel throughout most of the game, holding her to I think 4 points until the final few minutes of the game.
Yeah, she went from 4 to 16 in a hurry. I mean, got to the free throw line. You know, I think that was. Excuse me. Lord. You know, and that got her. I think sometimes when you're struggling, getting to the free throw line helps you out, and it kind of gave her a chance to see the ball go through the net too.
And then I thought Shakira Austin, first playoff game ever, she really had a big impact for you guys. Talk about her performance.
Yeah, I mean, she's kicking herself right now. She knows she missed a couple shots she thought she could make, but first playoff game and going head to head with good players. I thought she did a commendable job the first game.
With the score, like you almost worry when she starts that slowly, that kind of do.
I don't worry about that as much as you hold your breath and wonder, but you're going to give up something, and I don't think there's an easy thing that you can say, well, we held her down. Do we have to do something different? I don't think that was it. We're good players. She worked a little harder. She capitalized a little bit on a couple mistakes we made on, help a little bit or we got caught just like they did in some switches that neither team are comfortable with, but you don't want to get people, wide open looks either. I just thought that, we gave her and a couple others some looks at threes we probably wouldn't want to get, and yet they shot less threes than they normally do. So that's probably a little bit more like playoff basketball. It's a little bit more grinded out. both teams are so good defensively that they made each other work, and that you say both teams are good defensively, and both teams probably shot better than they normally do because the best players stepped up on both teams.
I just don't know what to say. I don't know what to say.
Skip. Good Lord, thank the good Lord I am on FCC airwaves. I thank the good Lord. It's hard to take, man. I don't understand it.
All right, Coach, we're gonna head over to Zoom. We'll start with Jen.
Hey, Coach. With Elena having 8 points, I think it was in the first half, and then kind of going off in the second, was that a concerted effort to get her more shots? And kind of what did you see from her in that stretch where she really took over?
It was considered in the sense that we knew certain spots that we were seeing them even kind of double team her before she caught it. So we tried to put her in positions in the second half where she could catch it without an immediate double team, sometimes at the elbows, sometimes on the perimeter. Her post touches most of the time, they were going to come with some sort of a double team. What we did a better job of in the second half was she would kick it out. We would go right back to her sometimes as they were leaving from the original double team. But she also put them in a position where she was facing up and was able to drive it at them where she could see where the help was coming from. I thought she did a good job of finding people. I mean, she had 5 assists and probably could have had 7 or 8. We missed some open opportunities on passes out of the double teams.
What the hell was that? Hey, what the hell? You freaking kidding me?
And then just how much did that, I know she wasn't hitting threes, but how much did that look like a, vintage Elena aside from that to you?
Yeah, I mean, your best player gets 26 points in a playoff game against a good team that has 5 assists. She's probably, unhappy not making threes, but I can't ask much more than the effort we got. And I can't ask much more from our team in the effort. We got to, make a couple smarter plays. A couple people didn't have the shooting game that, we kind of need them to have. If we make those shots on Sunday, then, we can walk out here with a win. If we don't, we won't.
Thanks, Coach.
I'm going to reiterate my comments right here, right now. The clock is officially ticking. The honeymoon is over. Damn your feelings. Who gives a damn? You got a job to do. And the job ain't even a championship. It's to be respectable.
We'll go to Tyler.
Hey, Coach. Jen asked you about in pregame about how important it is to come off to a strong start in game one, and you laid out a bunch of different details. Kind of what is it after tonight of how you guys performed in this environment?
I mean, I don't have a lot of complaints about the overall effort. I thought, we could have moved the ball maybe a little bit quicker. I thought we had to make maybe a few too many one-on-one plays. I think that slowed us down. I think we get caught. And both teams try to make the other team do that. Not get that nice rhythm to passing the basketball that they've had for the last couple of weeks. And, we've tried to get with our team. And so the game, when it gets into those one-on-one things, can you drive it the right direction to draw an extra defender to get an open three? Can you space the floor exactly the way you want to? I don't think we did a few times. I don't think they thought they did early, but I think late in the game, they did a better job of that.
Thank you, Coach.
And Adler.
Hey, Coach. I just wanted to ask, Gabby Williams starting off on Natasha Cloud. It seemed like there was a big difference in terms of Cloud's ability to get downhill, depending on whether Gabby was shooting the gaps or coming over the screens. Was there a concerted effort to sort of make Gabby chase in order to get, Cloud getting downhill, or was that just sort of how the game went?
I thought we had a little bit early, and Natasha was trying to get everybody else involved, and maybe it doesn't happen at the start, but then as the first half went along, I think Shota saw some driving gaps that she could get to, and she exploited them in the first half. We were able to get the penetration we wanted quite a bit. I have no complaints with that.
Great, thank you.
Wayne?
Hey, Coach. I know Tasha's knee was a little bit sore, but how you talk about her effort tonight and how she's feeling post game?
I didn't hear the last part of that.
And how she's feeling, I guess, in your opinion.
I do apologize. I don't know. They having some microphone issues. I do apologize for that.
This time of the year is sore, some more than others, and the great players, go through all that. And we have players on our team doing it. I'm assuming they'll probably have a couple. You're probably more sore after a loss than a win sometimes. But we expect to win no matter who shows up and how they feel, and that's the way it is. And the same will apply when we get ready for Sunday.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, Coach. All set. Thank you very much.
All right.
I want you to understand. Don't ask me a damn question. Don't ask me anything.
What is the biggest takeaway, biggest difference from your perspective as everyone got away from you late?
We talked about it when we knew this series was happening. Both teams are so evenly matched. If you look at the numbers, it's probably like something you've never seen in history. And we spoke about whoever does the little things is going to win the series, and the little things will turn into the big things. And I think down the stretch, we had some key rebounds that we missed. There were times we didn't get the ball where it needed to be, or just, we're careless with the ball at times. And they're a great team. They're playing in an awesome arena. Like, you kind of have to pause for a little. This is fun. Like, this is great.
What? What? And you got to be kidding me.
I love it here, but I think the biggest thing though is like, yes, it hurts. We're all feeling it. Like, there are so many more things we all could have done. You can feel that, but it's a quick turnaround, and we have to figure out what we need to do, regroup, and come back and give it another shot on Sunday.
Yeah, if I was a younger player, I would, be hanging my head a lot more. But the reality is that, that one turnover didn't decide the game. We made mistakes before that. But I do need to take care of the ball down the stretch. That's my job, is to put us in successful situations. So it's a tough one. But like E just said, we got a quick turnaround. That's the beauty of it, is we get to play another game. So we're going to, feel this, be where our feet are now, shower, wash it off, and then leave it here at the gym. And we're going to come back. We're going to do it the hard way, and we're going to take it back to DC. And
What the hell are you doing? What the hell are you doing?
I give you a guaranteed fast period again. Let's do it.
Yes.
But it is we're very evenly matched. But I think for majority of the game, we showed that we can win, and it's the little things down the stretch that we just need to be more intentional with.
What changed as Joel got hot? It seemed like something different, or was that just a great player getting hot?
A great player getting hot. She made tough shots down the stretch. We knew that they were going to go to her, and that's just on me. I promise you I'm going to be better next game.
Yeah!
I'm gonna stop it there. Yeah, so I'm remaining optimistic. I'm staying positive. Atlanta Deladon had 26 points. That's her in her 18th career playoff game. She scored 20 or more points. That's actually the most she's dropped in a playoff game since Atlanta back in 2018. Errol Atkins has had 15 or more points in a playoff game. I think the last time that happened was against Connecticut. The year we won the chip. Look, Shakira also had a good 12 points, 7 rebounds in her first playoff appearance. Tasha Clouds had 16 points in her fourth career 15-plus point outing in the postseason. So, like, they should really honestly hang their hats. They should keep their heads high. They shouldn't walk around angry, upset, or nothing. I really do believe the Washington Mystics will come out Sunday, and they're going to win game 2. We're going to win game 3. I'm having that mentality. I can't. I said this before, and I'm going to say it again. I cannot see the Washington Mystics going to Seattle for 2 games and losing. I see them. I said they were going to steal a game. I said it was going to be game 1, but they're going to work on the little things. They work on the little things. The Washington Mystics will be okay. But for game 2 Sunday, the Washington Mystics will upset the Seattle Storm 91-84.
Guaranteed.
And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to conclude this episode of Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. I do apologize for the internet issues, technology at its finest. But ladies and gentlemen, be tuned in for future episodes as we are ever so gratefully getting ready for the football season. WNBA playoffs are rolling right along. I do appreciate the support I've been getting on the channel. Please like, comment, subscribe. Also to share the podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Please check me out on those platforms. Again, closing message, accountability. When you take accountability and you hold yourself accountable and you grow from your mistakes and you try to be a better person every day is a test to what we all go through in life. But if you wake up every day and say to yourself, well, when you wake up and you thank God you are allowed to see another day, but you ask God for strength and you give and he give and you ask and you stay positive throughout the day, I promise you good things will change. But until then, I will see you guys in the next episode. Enjoy these playoff games. Have a good weekend. I will catch you guys on the flip side.
But I get sick of these guys complaining. These young guys, they never call us and say, when a coach is wrong, I'm going to call him out. But when players are wrong, I'm going to call them out. Thanks for the kind words. But listen, I'm going to criticize guys that they deserve it. And listen, they can kiss my ass if they don't like it.
Thank you for tuning in to Big Nate Sports Talk. If you enjoyed that episode and you want to see more content, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Bring your sports game on Big Nate Sports Talk.